Hi, welcome everybody. This is Tom Randall from GoldenCare. Want to welcome you to this Integrity Short-Term Care Initiative webinar today. And today we're going to get into the Wellabe eApp and quoting. And I'm joined with my partner in crime here, like I always am on these webinars, Dennis Reiner. I've had the pleasure of working with Dennis for pretty much all my years in the industry. I'm in my 27th year here at GoldenCare, and Dennis and I have been out in the trenches working with people across the country, both on the agent side and even on the consumer side. We both trained thousands and thousands and thousands of agents, and both of us done well over 100 consumer webinars and consumer live seminars over the years. So we have a lot of knowledge and background in this extended care market. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the preamble today, and Dennis will jump in a little bit talking about some of the biggest ability of these plans is their availability. But today, because we're getting into the eApp, we're going to dive in a little sooner than usual. I'm not going to bore you with all the stats that I usually do when I start out and talk about how this is such a big needed thing for the people. But I do want you to know it really is. I mean, again, I can't help myself but to say you have to be passionate about this a little bit, knowing that you're going to help with your persistency, you're going to help with your keeping your clients on the books. You're going to make some tremendous extra money, but mainly you're really going to help people who really need help, because most people haven't had a conversation about extended care and how important it is. And 3 out of 5 bankruptcies out there on the individual side are because of medical bills, and most of those people have insurance. So sorry, Dennis, I can't help say a little bit about that, but I do know that it is so important because we have so many existing clients, and it's such an easy turn for you guys to get on our sales webinars and learn how to start the conversation, et cetera. So I sure hope that you'll do that and take that initiative to step just a tiny bit out of your comfort zone and help those folks out. So that being said, again, we're going to jump in. Dennis, I'll let you jump in here if you want to talk about availability, and I have both those slides for the.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I chuckled a little bit because, we do this so often, 2 to 3 a day. And I was waiting for the, for our normal front slide. And so in the event, hey, thanks everyone. Dennis Reiner here. As we've talked in previous webinars, again, the landscape of what we have available is our 3 proprietary products are the GTL Recover Cash, the OmniFlex, which is underwritten by Standard Life, which is an affiliate of Manhattan Life, and then Wellabe. Of course, Wellabe is what we're going to spotlight today. Tom's going to do most of the heavy lifting here and walk us through and navigate. They've got a great enrollment platform, but they're in 10 states currently, and you can kind of see the lay of the land here on the short-term care, what we call the extended care menu of products. And hopefully, in 2024, Wellabe will, when I say hopefully, I know that they'll be increasing, and they'll probably get up to about 30 states when it's all said and done. And right now, we're at 32 with Omni and 37 with GTL, and Tom's working with the team at Manhattan to get a few more of those states that we'd love to get, such as Pennsylvania and Virginia are 2 that come to mind. But the other states, and you'll see that gray area where we don't have product. I'll talk about that here next when we talk about the home health care offering. So again, same 2 carriers there with GTL and also with Manhattan, and about 34 states with GTL. They were the pioneer in this area of short-term home care about a handful of years ago, and Manhattan then followed suit. And Manhattan just recently released their Manhattan Home Health Care Select, and those are the states it's in, and they still have their legacy or their previous version, which will eventually be in the Home Health Care Select. And Hampshire's a nice new entry there, just so that you know, because that's the Northeast is always a little bit problematic in terms of getting coverage. And then where you can see that light purple, True Freedom is not an insurance plan, but it's actually a service contract. Think of it like AAA. It's a membership, and it's home health care hours. And boy, it's really come in handy to round out our perfect portfolio, because we are in the problem-solving business, and it's important that we have coverage in all 50 states. And certainly the True Freedom plan, where we have recently done some big business with True Freedom in New York. And we have both the individual product available and what we call the affinity version of that. And we just did a webinar. We have a webinar actually coming up later today on True Freedom. So, Tom, I think as we jump in and talk about the cost of care,
Okay, I gotta give you a hard time first, Dennis, because the light purple. See, I'm in Minnesota, so there's only Vikings purple or no purple, and I still go with the Carolina blue, but it might be light purple. So
Yeah, yeah.
Tom
Tom got called out on that.
Yeah, I think Deb's on this call actually, so
and so I switched. As you can see, I'm pretty nimble. I switched to the light purple. But hey, the cost of care is. It's important, to know that most of what's increasing today is not the brick and mortar cost, but it's the labor cost. And it's one of the reasons why it's so important that as an agent that you're working with your clients to plan ahead, because this can be, I like to say that, this form of a care expense can be the single biggest unplanned, unfunded liability your clients are ever going to face. And really, it's the one true thing that could actually wipe them out when they experience the rising cost of care, because no one knows if they're going to have a care condition that lasts a year, or they're going to linger and actually have to dip into their own pocketbook through investments and income to pay for this on an ongoing basis. That's why having at least a plan that it's going to give them some coverage is important. And you can see again at the very bottom the rising cost of the home health care, just in terms of getting, whether it's getting services that are on an hourly basis and you're getting a couple hours a day. But the most important thing about these plans, and Wellabe is no exception, is that these are full indemnity plans. They're full cash plans, which is great. And today, Tom's going to go through. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Tom, to go through just a couple of the highlights before you actually jump into the enrollment platform. And Tom's going to do pretty much all of this. Hey, Tom, is that Viking gold there, or is that?
Not quite there. Tell you what, this is more of a mustard. I'm going to have to say no, but we'll go with it.
I just, it's funny how we focus on these things. Wellabe, it's just a little aside. I've talked with some of the internals at Wellabe, and they weren't quite as excited when they went to their color palette because of some of the swag items in terms of that they have to now with their polos have probably the white lettering versus that mustard color. But in any event, Tom, that's a little aside. I'll turn it over to you, and everyone, you're in great hands, because Tom is a pro when it comes to navigating through the eApp portal here with Wellabe and with all the carriers actually that we work with. So Tom, back to you.
You bet. Dennis, feel free to jump in anytime you want. I know you have some other calls that you got to be on and some other training. So if you need to pop off, that's great too. I'll keep an eye out for you, but I know I get rolling sometimes. So if you want to jump in, feel free. Thanks everybody. I tell you, all jokes aside on the colors and everything, this Wellabe product is nice new entry into our proprietary products here at Integrity, and Kelly Rayburn and the group over there put together a plan that we think has some real potential, especially for some of the niches out there. We got a lot of agents in our Integrity partnerships who write a lot of Wellabe and Medico, and you're going to see that this plan is going to be a nice fit for that. And it's really got a nice look for the couple side of it as we go through. So I'm going to jump into the eApp as soon as I can here, but I do want to just touch on a couple things. This is on the site that we have for you, this highlight sheet. And the nice part about Wellabe is kind of like with Omniflex. Remember, the existing short-term comprehensive plans out there were kind of one and done, right? They had underwriting that was much, much less stringent than what we had with long-term care insurance, but it was kind of all or nothing, right? Those plans set up saying you can either get something or you can't. Well, Wellabe went the far extreme, and Omniflex did a two-tiered underwriting, and Wellabe kind of went even a step further. And let me show you what I mean. With this plan, if everybody's the healthiest person you can get, much, much less healthy needed than what you had with long-term care again, you'd have their Essential Care Plus plan. And I'll show you that's the most robust plan, obviously. Then they have a couple underwriting questions that they knock out. You can see there that they have a couple in even this highlight sheet showing you that you can get the Essential Care plan and still have some significant health issues. Then they go even a step farther and say, if you get somebody who's really not quite too healthy, then you can get the limited benefit rider. And that means that somebody in the house, the husband or wife has to have the Essential Care Plus plan another adult in the house has to have either the Essential Care Plus or the Essential Care Plan. Then if they do, then you can have a rider for a limited benefit rider that I'll show you the benefits of. It's a little bit skinny down, obviously, but again, darn near GI, so it's a really nice option for people with the uninsurable spouse, okay? And then, of course, there is the not eligible for people who are just at a certain point. There is that one question knockout where we just couldn't get any coverage, even the limited benefit. Here's those discounts I was talking about, and they're significant. Remember, some of the short-term care products out there don't have any discount for both spouses getting coverage, etc. This one, they go really nice. They say, let's include anybody who's an adult, 40 years old or above in the household, okay? And then they say, even if one of them doesn't qualify for a plan, as long as there's two adults in the same house, we'll give a 7% discount to the one who does get a coverage plan with the Essential Care or Essential Care Plus. Then they go over and above what the other carriers do, and everybody likes the big numbers on the percentage discounts. They went 14% if both qualify for a plan, right? Either an Essential Care or Essential Care Plus plan. So 14% as opposed to the top out there that we see 10%. Then they even go a step further. And this part, I'm glad to say we had a little bit of say in, because when we were helping towards the latter stages of the design of this policy, we did try to help and talk to Kelly and her team and talk about the fact that we have a lot of people who write a lot of med sups with these carriers. So if you go in there and you get a carrier for any Wellabe Medicare supplement that the person has that, you can get a 5% discount on this plan over and above. So again, it's 14% or 7% first, and then the 5%. So it turns out to be like 18.3% or 18.7. I should probably do the math on that, but it's almost 19% discount. So you can see it's very strong with the multiple policy discounts. So that's really a nice thing that steps out with this product. They do have to save the carrier a little bit, that if you do have that uninsurable adult in the house that we have to have, then it maxes out any of the other discounts to 5%. So just be aware of that. And obviously the eApp and everything does all this math for you, so you don't have to worry, but just make sure you know in your head is that even if one adult gets a 7% and there's two adults in the house, if you do the limited benefit rider, it's going to be a 5% maximum discount, whether they have a med sup or not, 5%. Okay. So easy stuff there. Here's that highlight sheet. This is in the benefit highlight sheet on the site again. Just a couple things so you know what we're looking at when we get into the eApp. The home healthcare benefit is the base part of this plan. Remember, that's a unique part of this plan. The other policies that we have in our short-term care initiative start out with a facility base and then have a home healthcare rider. They switch it up here, which is kind of a nice change. Okay, then you can see on top the Essential Care Plus and the Essential Care and the limited benefit rider with the full benefit. You can see very robust, $300 per day on the home health care side, and facility goes all the way up to $500. So that's real high compared to some of the other products out there. Okay, then we get into the inflation. Really nice with the inflation, because 5% inflation you can have for the Essential Care Plus or the Essential Care. And the nice part about this is you can have that on none of the benefits, or on just the home health care, or just the facility, or both. So very flexible there on the inflation, so you can really custom design a plan like that. They do have a built-in, excuse me, I shouldn't say built-in, an optional rider available with this plan for adult daycare, which is $50 per visit, up to 20 visits. So that's a nice option that a lot of these plans don't have adult daycare, becoming more common, and probably will even more so in the future. So it's nice to have that ability. And they have something that nobody else out there has in this arena that we have in our integrity group of policies for sure, is that return of premium. And you can see there it's kind of a partial return minus any claims, of course, and it's pretty affordable. So it's not like you're used to with long-term care, but with this one, after 10 years, you can get 25% of your premium back if you terminate your policy. 15 years or 20 years, 50% of it back. So it gives you the ability to terminate the policy and get some of your premiums back if you for some reason needed to do that. Okay.
Hey,
So,
Tom, and even with that, the 20 years getting 50% of your money back, if someone quits the plan, is really attractive. And I didn't want to stop you on your roll here, but I was just going to say, one of the things that when we worked with Wellabe on this, and we were pleasantly surprised because we did petition pretty hard on that 5% multi-policy discount, and they embraced it, which we were happy, because they are one of our leaders in the MedSup arena. They do big job in that area. And so we felt that would be something that would really resonate. But I'd like to just speak just for a quick second about the importance of the product that's positioned to get couples, because in our marketplace today, and from our history, as you know, Tom, in the long-term care space, about 70% of the business that overall that we've written over all these many years has been couples business. And so the importance of that limited benefit rider cannot be understated. And we pushed really hard to make sure that that was available, because we know what happens when one gets approved and the other gets turned down. Typically, the one that's approved won't take out the plan because they don't want to offend, or they feel bad that they could get something that their spouse or significant other could not get. So this is a perfect plan, as Tom already stated, but I want to just restate for couples, for the couples market. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about opportunities that you're going to have to bring Wellabe to their attention.
Perfect. Yeah, you bet, Dennis. And again, the nice part about this, not only with the couples strategies like we talked about with Dennis just talked about, but if you look at this, the nice part of this two-tiered underwriting, and again, I could say maybe three-tiered because of that limited benefit rider, the essential care plan is really robust. You can see there, remember the elimination period on Essential Care Plus, I don't know if you can see my mouse, 0 or 20-day options, 0 or 20. They don't have a bunch of different options. They keep it simple with Wellabe, which is fine because almost all the policies we sell usually are 20 or 0 days, right? So the Essential Care Plus allows you to go to 0 day, 0 day. The Essential Care Plan, to protect the carrier a little bit because it's more liberal on the underwriting, is a 20-day instead of 0 or 20, okay? And you'll see that the eApp does all this for you, as you'll see in a couple seconds. So the part I wanted to point out is right here. The essential care underwriting, to be frank, and again, we're very transparent, it isn't as simple as getting the Omniflex limited plan. Remember, Omniflex has their full plan and their limited plan as well. It's not as liberal as that. So you're going to have more people who can get the Omniflex limited than the essential care, but there are some conditions out there, and we show you that in our plan design webinar that some of you may have been on, that there might be a time where the only policies you can get are the home health care only or the True Freedom, and then you have the both of these limited plans, the essential care or the Omniflex. And in that case, I tell people, boy, look closely at that, because remember, Omniflex, the limited plan, because it's more, the net's a little wider, only goes to $100, and $100 on the facility and the home care. So with this one, you can see much more robust on the facility side, right? You can get up to $250 on the limited rider here, and you can go up to $150 instead of $100. So keep that in mind in the back of your heads when you're looking at plan design, and we tried to highlight that when we did our training on that. Otherwise, limited benefit rider, again, the eApp will steer you, as you'll see, into whether they qualify for which of these plans, right? And a limited benefit rider over here is for the one that can only get through the first question on underwriting without having any other issues. And you can see there, it's going to be a limited plan, 180 days max, 90-day elimination period, and then it's going to be up to $100. Most people will jump on the 100, obviously, and that, excuse my cough, that tears up. So it's gonna, I have to protect the carrier there because that's darn near a GI rider. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's a rider that one of the other adults in the house has to purchase one of these other plans. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to jump over to the site over here, and I'm going to try to jump in, and hopefully my password manager is still alive here. There we go. And I'm going to try to show you the Wellabe short-term care and try to show you on the website. That was just my password manager. When you get appointed with Wellabe, you'll get your password and everything and allow you to get on here. And I'm going to show you before we let you go today that you can go to a separate site for a sandbox, and you can go on there before you even get appointed, and you can try to price out some plans, etc. So just wanted you to know, this is the major login here. This is their major scene that has everything you need to do for your site. I'm going to go to my enroller, and it's going to click up here, and it does one extra thing here where it kind of says, okay, here's my enroller. And you think, well, I'm trying to click in there and log in. Well, you have to go down here and click launch if you do it that way. So there's a shortcut to get there, but I just figured I'd show you the way that some of you might do so you don't get confused. Now it comes in and shows you the actual site. Okay. And now it's going to have you roll in and put in your password for this. Okay. And it's usually the same as what you're going to have otherwise. So I'm using my password manager again to cheat. And then it's going to open up and it's going to show you this main screen. Okay. And I do want to spend a couple seconds here and just one of the things you'll see if you push control, and you don't have to learn this, but some of your websites or your things right now, you see over here on the left-hand side, you see over here where it says Wellabe powered by my enroller. It gives me my resident state as my default, and it has a quick quote, a log out, a cool little thing down here I'll show you that I may as well show you now. If you click this over, you can change it to dark and white if you prefer. If it's cloudy day or whatever, you can change the screen layout real easily. Just a little gadget they have in there. But what I wanted to show you is when I first opened this up, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not a pro at this, like Dennis joked about saying he's a pro because he knows. I don't have to do a lot of these enrolling things myself. So I'm just learning this as I go too, but I think I'll be competent enough to get you through today. But one of the things I'll notice is if you have your screen set so it's a little bit bigger, you might pop it open and see this, and then you'll say, oh my gosh, Tom did a terrible job training me because I don't see that left area over here. Okay, so don't panic. Down here, if your screen shows up like this, you can either change your screen by pushing control and zooming your mouse back up so it pops over here on the left, or if you don't know how to do that, you can go down here and it'll pop up here and show you that same information that was on the left down below. So don't panic and think that you went to the wrong site or anything like that. Okay, so if you happen to have your view set up to be too magnified, that it doesn't have room over on the left-hand side, this is actually the signs of a very well put together website, by the way. They did a good job with this, and it works well on any kind of tablet you're using or anything because they have a couple backup views available. So that being said, I just want to point that out because I know the first time I looked, I thought, oh, what's going on? And I had to screw around with it a second to find it. Okay. So if you've been busy writing, you're going to see a lot of my submissions here. And this obviously is our site that we use for the training. So there's just a couple fake sites here. But if I had incomplete apps where I had sent out emails that I'll show you, or I've sent out all this other stuff, they would show up on this screen. Same with the pending. If there's other ones that are set up, they're in the works, they'll be there. And then the complete, they would all show up on this main dashboard screen. Okay. So what I want to go in today, and again, there's a sandbox I'll talk about at the end. But if I want to go in today and say, I'm going to write a policy, it's going to give you a drop down with a bunch of states here because they have other products involved in this too. So you got to look and make sure you're in a state that has the Wellabe plan available, obviously, because it won't show up as on your thing, kind of like we do with Manhattan Life, right? So I'm going to go to Iowa and I'm going to start new. And then it's going to pop me to the screen, and you can see down here, it's going to show me all the different plans that are available for that state that I'm approved and ready to sell. Okay. So down here, you can see there's our short-term care. So I'm feeling good about that. Then all I have to do is put in the zip code of my client. Okay. And I'm going to type in 50309, like the song almost. And I'm going to put this as a male. And I'll put down a date of birth for this male. Let's see, 1/1/1962. Okay, so I'm going to push tab there. And what did I do wrong? Oh, I see. I did it wrong because I typed it in without tabbing. My bad. See, I told you I wasn't a pro at this. Tab 1, tab 1. Come on, Tommy. Oh, you know what? It's probably looking for me to do 01. 01. 01. All right. Sorry. See, we learn as we go. Love this. Dennis, don't give me a hard time if you're still on. All right. So there's the 1962. My red went away. I got my date of birth in after a few tries because I'm not that bright. Then it goes down here and it shows me all the different plans I can go to. And if I click short-term care, it's going to automatically put in some information here for the agent number, et cetera. And I don't have to worry about anything right there. Then it's going to say, what do I want to do with add applicant to, yes or no? So is there another adult in the house? I'm going to put yes. Okay. And all they're going to ask there is the date. And boy, I'm going to be a master of my domain here because I know the dates, how to put them in now. So now I'm going to go tab, and then it's going to ask for medical questions. Okay. And one of the things you want to see here is that you can go over at this point and click on this eye, and you'll see this eye pop up in several areas. And you can click on here and you'll see that it'll give you a little precursor. So if you're new to this, you can see that applicants eligible for the Essential Care Plus plan if they can say no to all the 1 through 11 health questions that we'll see. The applicants eligible for Essential Care if they can answer no to questions 1 through 6, but answer yes to any of the other questions 7 through 11, they still get the Essential Care Limited plan. We call that their limited plan, but not limited in this case because the limited benefits are rider. And then the applicants eligible for the limited benefit secondary insured rider if their proposed answer is no to all the health questions, but yes to are okay with questions 1 and 2 through 6. So it answers all this there. You can see there down here, and there is a height and weight in the build chart. So that right away, if you know you're working with somebody who's height challenged, you can go over, it's going to ask you their height and weight in this thing. So all I want to do now is pop back over just because I want to show you a method to the madness here in Wellabe. Here's their paper app, okay? And their paper app, here's those questions they're talking about. Here's question 1. This is the knockout, that if they answer yes to this one, we just absolutely can't help them. And if you can't read it, it's talking about needing help with activities or living in an area where they're having help or need help, okay? Then when you go down to question part B, this is the 2 through 6 and then the 7 through 11, okay? So all these questions you're going to see on your eApp are right here. On the agent guide, the underwriting guideline, if I go down, I'll see that same information. Again, I'm just giving you a couple areas so you can see this stuff. Here's that same information we just read in the pop-up, talking about how they have the method of their madness on the questions. Here's the actual health questions. So you have them here. Sometimes we pre-screen out of the agent guide or out off the eApp or the paper app, excuse me. And then the height and weight chart is right down here on page 11. And you can see it's pretty liberal. 6-footer, you can go up to 285. If you got the females, 5'2", 5'4", you can see you can go up to 244. So male or female, it's going to be unisex. So height and weight chart is pretty broad. And then since I'm here, I'm just going to real quick go in. There's more information about signatures we'll talk about today. Talks about some underwriting and how there might be a telephone interview if they need it, and all that other fun stuff when it comes to short-term care. And then it goes down to premiums, talking about the initial premium and the other premiums, et cetera. So all that information's in your agent underwriting guide, and that's available for you on our site that will show you the Integrity Short-Term Care site. So everything here has backups, okay? So now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add the medical questions, okay? And when I pop that button on the eApp, it's going to say, do either of them use any type of tobacco or e-cigarettes, okay? I can have yes and still get them coverage, but there is a load on this one, and it's a significant load for the tobacco, as you'll see, and it automatically adds those in, okay? And if I go down here and I go to 6 feet for dad, we put dad first, I think. So 6 feet, I'll make him 220, and I'll do mom at 5'4" and 120, keep it simple. And then it says, are you currently confined or receiving assistance or had a medical professional advise you? Does that look familiar? That's that first knockout question, right? If I click yes, it's going to say ineligible for any coverage. I can't even get you that rider, right? So if I answer no, we're okay. Make sense? Then you're going to see it's very easy and user and very intuitive website. It immediately goes down here and starts showing you all of these different things. Within the past 6 months, have you needed the assistance of a walker? Again, I'm not going to read all these to you because you know there was a lot of verbiage on there, but it is the same questions you see in the app. This is question 2. Okay, I click no to that. Now, if I click yes to one of these, then I would know that I'm not going to be able to get the Essential Care Plus, but I'd be able to get the limited care rider still. But hopefully we're going to answer no. These are pretty broad. Been confined or had medical professional for rehabilitation or nursing home? No. In the past 24 months, been diagnosed with Parkinson's or some of these big conditions? No. And again, I'm not trying to slack on the training. I just know you can read all this stuff on your own in several different areas that I already showed you. Again, pretty broad here. MS? No. Been diagnosed or treated by a medical for diabetics requiring insulin or diabetes with complications or in combination? No. And again, you guys know from our previous training, we have the InstaPivot tool, And we have all these other ways that you can go in and find out without even going to the eApps or the apps whether they qualify for certain policies. So you can use our other tools or you can do it right here. Okay. This is treated for cancer. Next one down is question 8, been diagnosed or treated by a medical professional for kidney disease. Now, remember, we're moving into the next area now where we could have had the essential care plan, or at least that rider. Now we're finding out if they get the full benefit plan or the essential care plan, right? So now if they answer yes to one of these, it doesn't immediately tell you, but you'll see that it'll automatically steer you to saying this applicant won because they had a TIA or something. They have to have just the essential care, not the full-blown essential care plus. You don't need to know that. It's not going to pop up and scare you, but it'll show you when you get to the next screens, when you start doing benefit selections, it'll limit you to what's available. Okay, so it's very intuitive. You don't have to worry about that part of it, but you should know as an agent. If they answer yes to 7 through 10, 7 through 11, then they're going to be the essential care, not the essential care plus. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and make them healthy. And again, these are the AIDS question down here, one or more fractures relative osteo. So these are pretty broad conditions, pretty nice underwriting net that they throw here for this plan. Right up there with, you'll see with GTL and Aetna, as far as getting the essential care plus. And as far as getting the essential care, it's much simpler than those other plans as well. Omniflex, the limited benefits are a little bit easier than essential care, but again, very similar. Okay. So I'm going to click save here. And now it shows me down here that let's design the plan. Okay. Easy stuff here. And you can see when you get down to this area, it's saying here you're in the short-term care. You got the date of birth for your applicant 2 and applicant 1. And then you go down here, the effective date, it automatically defers to the first of the following month that you're on. You can push that out up to 90 days. If you'd like to, you can go and change that effective date. Usually people have just left that alone, okay? So if you don't have an effective date in there, etc., then it's going to default to that date. You can do bank draft or credit card. One of the nice things with this, you can do credit cards if you'd like, okay? I'm going to leave it at bank draft. Frequency, again, you can change it to monthly, quarterly, annually, or semi-annual. We write a lot of monthlies or annuals. I'll leave it on monthly. Okay, now I'm down to the primary applicant. You can see here, because I answered no on all those questions, this is available for me, the Essential Care Plus. This would have been grayed out or not showing. It would have just showed Essential Care if I would have had the questions answered yes, that made me have to get a limited plan. So that makes sense. So you can see there that we have this pretty easy to do. So I'm going to go in the benefit amounts. I can click on here and it'll show a drop down showing everything that's available. And in this case, this is what, the facility or home care? This is home care, right? The base plan of these policies are home care first. So remember that if you're used to writing a lot of short-term care, remember home care first over here with this type of plan. And you'll see it over here to remind you the optional riders nursing home. Okay. You can sell any of these plans, but I'm going to do a 360 for this example. And I can have 0 or 20 days, but I'm going to do 0 days for home care for sure, because I like that. And you can see the nice part about this plan is it automatically calculates my premium over here. So I'm over at $88.43 so far monthly for what I've had so far. Okay. Now I'm going to go over here to the optional riders. Now you can see here it's saying if I wanted the adult daycare rider, remember that's $50 for 20 visits. Pretty cheap, right? 79 cents a month. So you could add that in very easily just by clicking it. Inflation benefit rider on just this portion for the home care, you can see there 71 bucks a month. So it almost doubles it, but it does double the benefits for this person as well when they get older. So it shows you right here what the cost would be. If I click on here, it'll say selecting the rider adds inflation. So you have a little cheat sheet up there, 5% of the original amount or simple inflation. Easy stuff, right? The reason I said only here is watch this. If I go to nursing home and it says, how much do I want for nursing home? Remember, I can do whatever I want to do. I'll do a really robust plan here because that's the example we saw when we did our initial training. Just to show you that this is one of the things nice about this plan, really strong benefit plan there. I can do 500 for 360 or choose any of those other options. Because it's Essential Care Plus, I can do 0 or 20. If I had Essential Care, what would it be? I don't get the 0 days, right? It would only show 20 days and it would automatically fill it in for me. So elimination period, I can have 0 or 20. In this case, I'll just load it up and make it a super nice plan. And you can see there, 134 bucks a month for a whopping $5,000. Remember, 5 times 3, that's a pretty big monthly benefit, right? So we're sitting there at 15 grand on the monthly benefit for the nursing home. I could go a step farther, and this is the reason I pointed out the 7118 is just for the essential care. I can click inflation protection on my nursing if I want to. And you see it changed my nursing facility premium, didn't change my essential care plus premium, and it didn't change my inflation down here because this inflation is for the home healthcare base portion. This inflation is for this. And again, it shows the flexibility of this policy and the user friendliness that I don't need to have inflation on both. I can just say, let's inflate just your essential care portion of the home health care and not the facility or vice versa. In this case, I'll just do neither one. Okay. Keep it simple. Easy stuff there. I'm going into way extra time than I would with a client, right? With a client, I'd be popping through this very fast. Okay. So with this one, if I want a duplicate coverage, I'm just going to go 300, 360. I'll go 0 days again. You can see there, it's going to be a little bit more probably because I had the person a year older, unisex rates. But this, the spousal plan is a little bit more. Nursing facility, I can skip it if I want. I don't have to do the same plans, right? I can do whatever I want to do over here. I could do $300 per day or $200 per day, whatever I wanted to do over on this side. Elimination period, I'll go 20 days on this one. And we'll skinny that down a little bit to 45 bucks a month now for $200 per day for a full year with a 20-day elimination. Same concept down here. The inflation rider is just for the home care. You can see how much it would cost me. Adult daycare, again, I probably should have pounded those on because of the fact that that's such a good deal for under a dollar a day to get up to 20 days of adult daycare. So it's up to you if you want it or not. Actually, I'm going to keep it off there to be simple. Okay. So now you go down to this one and you see, what's this little bad boy hanging out here? Policy level riders. What does that mean? This rider is added at the policy level instead of the individual level. So basically what that means is this return of premium for $131 will do that return of premium. We talked about how it varies off, where after 20 years, you can get 50% of your premium back. That's $131 a month if you wanted that rider, but that would cover all of this premium up here for the whole plan. Okay, so just so you know that, and again, use your little cheats if you need to. So I decided I'm not going to click that for this case, but it is available. Make sense? Easy stuff, right? Now, if I go down here and I see, yes, do you live in the same household with another person? Well, guess what? I just filled out 2 premiums. So what is that saying? Absolutely, no problem. It's pre-filled. Is the other person applying for Essential Care Plus plan? Well, since I already filled it out, it has it pre-filled. Okay, those are grayed out. Then it says, are you or applicant 2 currently covered by a Medicare supplement with one of the other companies with Wellabe? So that one is, again, what does it do? It gives me an extra 5% discount. So if I click yes, it'll just ask me to put the policy number in there. I'm going to click no in this case, but if you click yes, all you need is the number for that one of those med subs. Okay. Now I just add plan, and now it'll show me on my left-hand side. Remember, it might be hiding on the bottom, but on the left-hand side, if you have your screen set up the right way, it'll show you, here's my short-term care, and it kind of gives you a little menu. It shows you exactly what I asked for and the total premium on the left-hand side. I could go and click email quote right now if I wanted to. I could do print quote, and it's a nice way to do that, by the way. If I do print quote, it'll show it just a quote only. Okay. I can save and close, which I don't want to do now, or I can start the application, or I can remove the plan and say I was just playing around. In this case, I'm going to click start application. Okay. Now I'm here and it shows my bars at top, and it's a really nice, easy to use plan here, right? And again, don't kid yourself. I'm pushing 40 minutes here because we had that intro, but this last part and all the parts I could have just done would be super fast, right? So I'm going to put Jim Fakey. And the nice part about this is you only have to put in where they have an asterisk are the only absolutely positively necessary things that you have to put into this plan. Okay. So I'm going to put 6016 Avenue. I'm going to put Des Moines because that's where that zip code was from. And then the phone number, even this one, the phone number isn't required, but I will tell you later on when we get into the parts about signing for this, that I would recommend that you put it in, because later on it'll pop up and you need to have the phone number you use for this applicant, okay? The nice part about this, Social Security, you can put it in if you want. Email, you can put it in if you want, but you don't need to, okay? So I'm going to skip that part because some people are a little sensitive, but it doesn't hurt to have it in there if you know it, okay? But some people are a little worried about that, and Medico was nice and said you don't need it. So now I put check if mailing to the mailing address is the same as the residential address. If I didn't click that, I would just have to fill in some other information. And then it says, will someone be signing the application under the authority? So if I click that, it would ask for information on their power of attorney. Okay. So easy stuff. Now I'm down to applicant 2, right? Betty, Fakey. And now we go down to the phone number again. It is going to want to have one of their phone numbers. You notice this one is actually filled in. I'm not positive why they did that, but I'm going to fill it in anyway. But the Social Security, again, is not needed. They did ask for the gender because we didn't put that in earlier like we did for Jim. And you can put the email address in here. A lot of you will put emails in because a lot of your clients will use that, okay? Now, this one is the power of attorney again. Will someone be signing this? Then you got to check that and make sure you fill out that information for the power of attorney, okay? Now, I've read the following statement to the applicant and received agreement. And this just says you want to make sure you're saying, now, Jim and Betty, the information on this app, we got to make sure it's complete, true, and current and recorded to the best of our knowledge, right? Okay. Then you can use a security code electronic signature. Now, this is something new from when we got trained on this. You're going to see this pops up later, okay? And if I click yes here, it's going to give me some instructions on this. And if I click on this, and you're going to see here, I pop this open, it'll say this document's going to open in a new tab, and it's going to have instructions for you. So I could click that, and I could click right here, and if I got it, it's going to pop up, and it's going to show this in my insights, okay? Do this ahead of time, or we'll have this on the site. I'll have Corey put this on the site, the electronic signature via security code process. And if it isn't there already, I'll put it on there. So I'm going to make a note of that to e-enroll or e-sig on site. Because this actually walks you through, and some of you will do this, some of you won't. I can't figure out yet whether it's going to be super popular. It's something new that they're doing. And basically what it says is on the applicant tab, when you get to that point, it gives you a lot of instructions, and it says if I can do it via email or through their little computer, their phone. So many people use phones now, this text option might become popular. And again, it's a little bit detailed where I don't want to spend the time reading it to you now, but it basically says I read this out loud to my client, then I tell them they'll get this email that'll say here's a code for you, or they'll get this text that'll say here's a code for you, and it tells you what phone number it comes from and everything else. Then I go back to them and it shows me how I go through at the end of this and do the enrollment with this code. Okay, it's very simple, it's very intuitive, and they can see a copy of their app and everything else. So this is the thing that you're going to download. If you want to do that, you can see the instructions on it, okay? And it's right there on the site again. So I'm not going to click review instructions. I'm just going to close it. And for now, I'm going to put no, because this is going to pop up again when I'm done with my app, and I'll be able to go back. So remember that electronic signature, and I'll be able to go back to that later and say yes and even change my mind. So for now, I'm going to put no, okay? Now I click next, and it gets into the final part of the app. And again, because the way they set this up, it's very fast and very easy. Okay, so the first thing it's going to ask is, what do you have for doctor's information? And again, this is where they're really nice because they are so friendly over there at Wellabe that they know. Most people don't know the office number, the full address. Notice there's no asterisk, so you don't even need to have that part of it in there. If they need it later, they're going to track it down and figure out what's going on. So I'm going to put down Dr. Johnson for their doctor if they have one. And then I'm going to go down here and say prescription drugs information for the primary. Again, you're going to love this. First thing it asks is that you can't lie about. Have you taken any prescription meds in the past 24 months? Yes. Okay. If you answered yes, the medication information is now optional. How much do you love that? So now, because they do a prescription drug check, you don't have to fill this in. Letter to the wise, if you're very hardcore and you take everything hardcore when you're doing apps and you start filling this out, if you do fill it out, you do need to complete it for each med, and you need to be as complete as you can. There may be cases where somebody has a medical condition that you know might be a red flag for the underwriter, where you're going to want to put medication in here and talk about it a little bit so you can try to get that underwriting feeling better about it. But otherwise, you want to talk speed, you can click yes here and skip this area. Okay. And you don't have to worry about adding it because they'll see it on the drug medication list that they get. Okay. Same thing down here, prescription drugs. If you've taken them, most of the times it'll be yes. I don't have to fill it out if I don't want to. Click next. You can see up there, my medical information is okay. Replacement. Do I have another short-term care policy? I'm going to click no. If I click yes, it just asks me about whether I'll replace it or not. Replacement information, no there. I'm going through fast, but this is all pretty intuitive. Here's my agent's signature. I certify that the information of the applicant is there, and I read that through, and I click yes. Then I go down here and confirm the effective dates. And if I want to change the effective dates, I can go down here to the return of the quote and change that effective date if I wanted to. But for this one, I'm going to say I'm okay. And then commissions. Do I want to split it? If I click yes, I just put in the other information. Most of the time, you won't be splitting commissions, so I click no. And again, I can't tell you how fast you would have went through this app if I wasn't talking to you about all this peripheral information, right? So here's the application verbiage. I'm not going to read it to you, but it's the same stuff as in the application. And you can see here, I'm doing really well. Signature options. Now here's where I go down to say, please select the option for the primary applicant we'll use to sign this. There's that electronic signature again we talked about, right? So if I do electronic signature, it's going to go down here and say, is my primary applicant present? If I click yes, then all it says is by entering my date of birth and phone number that I had on here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, but I'm going to come back to it, okay? So I could either do that and say they're present, and I can just do it that easily. And I'll do that for mom and dad, put in my date of birth and the phone number that I used. Remember I said I would fill in the phone number for that reason. That's why it's there. So this is the easiest way to do it. If they're not present, I can say, no problem, what's my email address? And an email is going to be sent out there for them to sign those forms electronically. That's kind of like a DocuSign type deal, easy peasy, okay? Now, because people wanted even more, this is where I can do that e-signature via code, right? This is the same thing we saw earlier. I can select text or email, and they can get that information via text or email and give you a code to do. So very easy to do, okay? And again, read that form that I showed you earlier, and it'll tell you all you need to know about that. For today, because of our training, I'm going to go in. You could do a voice authorization. This one sounds great, but I tell you what, I don't know how often agents are going to use it. And I'm not trying to rip into it, but I'll tell you, some of the times I look at it and say it's a little bit of wording. So if I want to do a voice authorization, I can do that. This is if my client's on a conference call and I say, well, I've got to conference you into this number. So I got to call this number, pull my client into it. There's a special code that I have to enter and push pound. Then it says the following guide, you have to read this out. And this is Jennifer's, our agent of record here at GoldenCare. So I'd say, I, Jennifer Felton, and you have to read this verbatim, word for word for both your clients. Okay. Seems really long. I know agents have said that they have used it and it doesn't take as long as you think. And it's easy after the first time to get through it pretty quickly. But you do have to do it. And then you have to make sure you push pound at the end. And get that done for that client. So it's again, to me, that wouldn't be my first choice, trust me. But if you want to do voice authorization, it's kind of cool that they have the technology. Okay. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to cheat because I got to get this done faster than I'm going. Primary applicant's present. And I say, by entering my date of birth, do you agree with that? And I'll say yes. And if I remember right, I put 1962 for Jimmy. And the phone number I put was 123-123-1245. So all that is there, and I'm done. Okay. Now I go to electronic signature for mom, and I say she's present, and I say yes, and I put in her date of birth, 0101, probably not 1963. And then I go over here to the tab, and I put in the same phone number, that I put for mom. If I use a different one, I put that in. And now you can see I'm done. So now I can go over here and I click next. And hope it's calling me out on something maybe, or else it's just delayed. Click next, okay. Now it says, do I want to send an email copy of this, okay? And now this is where I go in here and it says the applicant's automatically be sent a copy, enter a PDF password and the applicant's email address below. Now this is kind of funny because they have it really well HIPAA protected, okay? So if they have a PDF password, they don't keep this password. And again, I'm telling you, you don't have to do this because if I click no email available, I'll have a copy of this app and I can send it to them. But it tells you that right here. The password case must be 10 characters in length and they don't keep it. So a lot of times we'll tell people if you do this, guess what? A phone number has 10 digits in it. So use their phone number with their area code. Okay, then you put in the applicant email address and you'd be able to have it sent out and tell them just put your phone number in as the password. Okay, I'm going to put no email address and then it's going to say if you don't send them a copy of this, then you got to make sure you send them a copy or they have to wait till the policy gets issued and they'll get a copy with their packet. Okay, most people might do that just because it's easier, but I will show you at the end of this. I'll have a copy of this and I'll be able to email it out to them myself if I'd like. Okay, but full HIPAA should have a password. Okay, so no emails added, no problem there. I'm going to click next. And then it says, how do we want this done? You guys, again, I can't stress enough, this took a long time, but it isn't going to take that long for you to do it in front of the client because I went through and did so much extra talking about other options, okay? So I have a cheat here where I know because they do verify that this is a legitimate routing number. I'll put in this account number that they use just in case they're hardcore about that too. And I'm putting in their address for their bank. If you use a credit card, you'd be putting in that number, 442467. Can't talk and chew gum at the same time. And then the bank address, bank city and stuff, you don't have to put in there. There's no asterisk. So I could put that in if I want to be as clear and make sure everybody's on the same page. I'm just going to put, yes, I'm authorized to fill this in. Now the bill date, this is kind of interesting and pretty smart of Wellabe. I do have to put in a day between 1 and 28. Usually I tell people it's easiest just to put in 1, the same as their effective date. But it goes in here and says you absolutely have to check this box that I've reviewed the payment scenarios with my clients. And this says, I'm going to put not now, that's just my robo form. So it says bill day, the premium may draft immediately unless future date. And then it walks you through this. So read this. It says if I write a policy on 10/15, today's 11/9, 10/15, the draft date requested is the 4th, then the policy will draft immediately after it's approved because it'll get approved on the 15th or 16th, right? It says it's activated, so it actually gets approved right away. Then again, it'll come out on 11/4 because I put 4 as my effective date or my draft date. So remember that it'll go in that given month. Now, if I write a policy that's activated on the 15th and I put a draft date after the 15th, several days out, then it's going to say the initial premium will wait until the 28th before it pops it the first time. So again, this takes longer me doing what I just did than it would for your clients. So all this does is says, I want to make sure I open it and I tell my client about that so they don't call and complain saying, why'd I get double billed, right? So if I put the 1st here, remember, it's going to immediately bill when this gets activated on probably on 11/10 or 11/9. When they approve this policy, it's going to bill the 1st month. And then next on the 1st, 20 days from now, it'll bill for the 2nd month. They're not double charging you. They're just billing for future coverage. Okay. So I've reviewed the payment scenarios. The account name is the same as the applicant. So I'll put that down. Same as applicant 1. That just shows that it's Jim's account. If it was mom's, I'd put it down here. Okay. So that's already filled in. Don't have to worry about that. Then I click next. Now it says PDF review, and what it's doing now is creating a PDF of this policy. And I apologize, this went on longer. I probably shouldn't do as long an intro as I did, but I wanted to be really clear on all this the information so you have it for you for recordings as well. So it created that PDF here, and now I go down here and you can see there's a full PDF. I can download that or print it. This is why I said you don't have to email a copy to them right away via Wellabe if you don't want to. And if you want to keep this, it'll pop up and it shows up right over here with a filled in eApp. So it shows up just like this if I download it. I won't take the time to do that today, but I can. So right there, you can download or print it. Okay, so now I'm doing a review and I can walk through if I want with the client, if I feel it's necessary, walk through all this with them. It's totally up to you how you do that. This is just a review to make sure it's going in with the benefits you thought you were getting. Okay, because of time's sake, I'm going to go next right away. Now, when I get to this point, it says final confirmation. Look, I'm all the way down to submitting now. Final confirmation. At this time, the application is ready to be completed. If I click complete case, it'll pop in and I'll actually submit it and it'll go to Wellabe. Okay. So what I'm going to do is cheat. I'm going to go over to my slideshow and I'm going to show you. This is that screen we just looked at, right? I'm all the way ready to submit. If I click complete case, then it's going to go to this little pop-up window will pop up in my eApp. Okay. And it's going to say, thank you very much for your business. Your application has been submitted. And here's the information that you need to know. After you know it, make sure you get proper documentation, the premium verification. This just gives you a little bit of side deal. And then there's a return to dashboard option. Okay, easy stuff, right? If I return to the dashboard on here, for those of you who are hanging out with me this long, if I return to the dashboard, I can do it. It would give me a way to get there really fast. But if I return to the dashboard here and I go like this, I can either continue the application, save and close. I'm going to go in here and save and close it. Okay. So I did that just because of the fact that I didn't want to submit an app and have them wonder if Jim Fakey's the real person, because it would have automatically tried to do that. So you would have clicked submit the app and it would have automatically showed up as either it wouldn't be on your incomplete, it'd be on your pending business. Okay. And it would say right now it's set up as a quote. It's here. If I ever want to come back to it, I can edit it. If I would have submitted it, it would have been pending if they're waiting to assign via email or something else. Otherwise, it would be pending just an underwriting review, and then it would show up on my complete later on. Okay. Very, very easy stuff. Okay. So because of time here, I know that we probably have some questions. We're going to answer them afterwards. Because I just know I took this way too long because the fact it's the first time I've done this training, and I like to be complete and thorough, and I took longer than I thought. So I apologize about holding you on for extra time. But that being said, this is Tom Randall. The next step, totally up to you. Make sure you contact the marketer who got you on this call. And I promise, I know there's some chats up there that there's probably some questions that I'll try to cover next time around or get those out to you. So apologize about the extra time today, Dennis. I'm sure if you jumped off a long time ago, but for Tom Randall from GoldenCare and Dennis, want to thank you very much for taking your valuable time today. And hopefully you saw that even though I talk too much, it's a very easy process to be able to get you through that Wellabe app. So thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Hope to see you on another webinar soon.
The next step is yours. Contact your marketer for more information and to start offering short-term care solutions to your clients. And be sure to sign up for our other short-term care hot topic webinars.